Welcome to
House of Whimsical Terror.
I'm Esther.
I'm Mary.
And we're coming to you today from Tucson, Arizona.
And we're telling real stories of the fantastical.
All of our stories are true or told to us as true.
Occasionally, we alter names to protect privacy.
And we do the same with some of the places. And today, our story is Skeptics, Unexplained Events.
Ooh.
And we have one of my favorite humans on the planet.
Yeah.
Brian is here with us. And he's always been a skeptic. And the cool thing is that he has agreed to be on the show and tell us some weird things that have happened. Of course, when he's off the show, he's going to tell us all the reasons they were just coincidental or...
Right.
But that's okay, because we asked him to tell them as they happened.
I just want to highlight that he's a skeptic and you are not.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, related.
Yes. Yes.
So very interesting. It is interesting.
It is. But he's got some really scary, weird things that have happened to him.
Yeah. And we want to hear about them.
So,
we're going to move that.
So you're going to talk about these strange
events.
Yes.
Unexplained
events of the fantastical.
Truly.
So I think the best way to do it is chronologically. So I'll start with the first one. It happened back in the 70s, probably about 78 or 79. And it was at my grandmother's house back in Ajo, Arizona. And my grandmother taught me a lot of the things, a lot of the skills that it helped me throughout my life, building things, concrete, asphalt, carpentry, plumbing. And one of the things that she taught me was roofing and how to how to fix a roof.
She was amazing.
She was an incredible human being. So she taught me how to put up asphalt shingles on a house. So I was doing that at the top of her house. And in the back, anybody who knows my grandmother, she built everything. She built her house. Mm-hmm. And then later on, she built a little, we called it the tortilla room. Yeah, the tortilla room. And it had two windows on it. So it had, in the front, it had a window, and then on the side, and then there was a door. And then there was an oven on the inside. And at one point, she had put in a window that creaked open. So it had a little handle that turned, and they would open the window out. She had a curtain on the inside, a small sheer curtain on the inside. And while I was up there, I took a little bit of a break from the roof that was higher than the tortilla room. And I looked down and I saw the window, the curtain, was blowing out. Huh. So I looked back and we did some more nailing of the shingles. And then I stood up again because it was pretty hot that day. And I looked down again that time and I saw an arm come out and and at first I thought it was the curtain, but it extended a little bit further and I saw a hand. So I stopped for a second and I looked down there and it kind of freaked me out because the door was locked. Mm-hmm. Oh. The door was locked and the only thing was open was a window. And these crank windows, they only open a little bit. So you can't actually go in there and pry them. They won't easily open up with wind or anything else. So I stopped and I must have had a shocked or bewildered look on my face because my grandmother turned and she looked at me and she goes, "What'd you see?" Oh. And I stopped and I said, I don't know. I was afraid to tell her that I saw what I saw. Oh. But I think that in that moment she's seen something before.
She might have seen something.
Right.
Yeah.
And so she goes, "Okay, we'll take a break." And we were actually going to take a break anyway, but we stopped and went downstairs and she never talked to me about it again. Wow. And I never discussed it, never said anything. Wow. And it was one of those things where, to this day, I know I saw an arm. But was it my mind playing tricks on me? But that was the first thing that I saw that you could consider supernatural that I can't explain.
Right. Wow. Right.
Because I did go down and unlock the door and look in there. Yeah. And I had to see if maybe we trapped somebody in there or something. Maybe my brother was being an idiot.
Okay. Right.
And trying to scare me or whatever,
But there was no one there.
Nope, nobody.
Wow. And she knew that.
and it was the lock on the door was on the outside. It was a hasp and a padlock.
Mm-hmm. Padlock was on it. That's true. That's true. And the window was so small, like someone super, super small and thin maybe could have, risked their life to kind of slide through there, but really a grown man, like, I don't know what the arm looked like, but I picture it when you say it as a grown man's arm.
It was a man's arm. It wasn't very big. It had a sleeve on it that was nondescript. It was like a beige shirt, it was nothing.
Wow.
Nothing that stood out, except for the fact that it was an arm.
Yeah.
And not the curtain.
Yeah.
And not your grandma.
Right.
It was not Nana.
It was not Nana. She was amazing.
Yeah, so I didn't see anything that was unusual for years and years. So it was 1990. I was stationed in Oklahoma, northern Oklahoma, and my wife at the time and my two dogs. It was the 23rd of December, and northern Oklahoma gets pretty cold.
Mm-hmm.
And it was 45 below on the 23rd of December.
What?
It was 23 and then 45 with the wind chill. And we were packing up the car to go back to Tucson to enjoy Christmas. And it was interesting because once we got to Tucson, it was 75 degrees Fahrenheit. So
right.
you go from below zero to...
So you go from staying outside with your bathing suit weather.
Yeah.
And for some reason we had bananas in the trunk and they were still frozen by the time we got there. And then, on the way to Tucson, and again, you got to remember, so picture it's in the middle of the night, and we're in northern New Mexico near Clovis, above Clovis. I can't remember exactly where it was, or the closest town, but it was on the freeway. And it was in the middle of the night, completely dark. There were no lights, nothing. And my wife was in the seat next to me. She was sound asleep. So I looked over, I had the high beams on, and there was this big field behind a set of barbed wire. And there was a man that was standing out there in the middle of this field with a regular work shirt. So he looked like he was like either a construction worker or a janitor with a gray Dickies type clothes.
Right. So not like big old parka or anything in weather that felt like it was 45 below, right?
Right. And at the time it was below zero, but I don't remember exactly what. But it was, if you got out of the vehicle and you stood out there for an extended period of time, you would freeze to death pretty quickly. So he was just standing there staring at me, and he must have been in his maybe 50 to 60 years old, staring at me and looking at me. And, when I saw it, it was like shocking. I was like, this poor guy. And as I passed, I couldn't see him anymore. So as I passed, I could see him. And then as soon as the light went out, there wasn't a shadow or anything. It was just nothing left.
Wow.
So again, no car, no house, nothing was out there. It was in the middle of nowhere in the desert, region of New Mexico. So I still to this day can't explain what the heck that guy was doing out there, how he would have been out there, and why he was just standing there staring at the cars going by.
Right. Right. Yeah. And made eye contact with you specifically, and you're the one who saw him.
The entire time I was passing by, he was looking straight at me.
This was northern New Mexico?
Right.
Wow.
And it was, if you ever see the movie Phantasm, where the guy goes, boy, that kind of reminded me, because he had his head down a little bit with his eyes straight forward.
Oh, that's terrifying.
Oh, that's scary.
It was creepy. It was a creepy thing.
New Mexico is...
Yeah.
There's a lot of wild things that happen in New Mexico.
Yeah. Kind of what do they call it back in the day? The vortex.
Vortex, yeah. Wow, that's creepy.
I think a lot of people go to New Mexico for the spirituality or spiritual things, and especially like Santa Fe,
Yeah.
That is the absolute truth.
And and later on, people would ask me, why didn't you go back and help them? And I was like, I thought about it. I said, why didn't I?
Well, even if you had decided to, he vanished when.
Yeah, it was.
So he was there, and then he suddenly wasn't there.
Gone.
And you might have. I mean, I know your personality. You probably would have said, "Oh, wait a minute. There's this guy
There might have been something inside of you that was like
that knew
that
he maybe was dangerous somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And then your mind plays tricks on you. So I'm driving, and the whole time I was like, "Was that a tree?" But he was looking at me.
You saw him face to face.
Him.
So we get to Tucson, and I never forgot about it, but didn't see a whole lot of anything. There was unexplainable. I always have found a way to explain it, or there was an explanation for things like this. Until about 2009, I think it was 2009. And I got to tell you the story about my position at the time and what was happening in my life. So I was a first sergeant, and if anybody is familiar with the command structure in a military organization, you have a commander, and then you have a first sergeant, and the first sergeant essentially takes care of the people in the unit, especially the enlisted folks. And dogs, like the ones that did it.
Yeah, so the Doberman is making so much noise in the background, ruining the mood.
Yeah. He's very thirsty. It's hot here in Tucson. So
yeah, so that noise is the Doberman, which all of you are very familiar
with.
So anyway, the one of the things about being a first sergeant is you are on duty 24 hours a day. So if you get called at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, that is a very thirsty dog.
He is.
All right.
He's done now.
All right, so he's hydrated.
So, it's 111 now.
So, Rudy, can I continue? Okay, so I went out to an event that happened on the base, in base housing, and it was one of my troops that had an altercation with his spouse. So there was a domestic violence issue with her. She attacked him, and anyway, so long story short, I go through the process, and everything's okay. She gets taken away to get charges against her with the Tucson Police Department, and I come back home, and the Catalina Mountains in Tucson are beautiful, but it's very dark if there's no moon. So there was a new moon, very dark outside, and we had a lot of animals that lived near our house that walked through the yard, and javelinas. There was always a family of javelinas. For some reason, they liked to be in our yard. And I was standing outside, just kind of enjoying the feeling before I went back to bed, because it was already I had to get up in a couple of hours anyway. So I sat there and I looked, and I saw, if you've ever seen the Grazia painting of Native Americans walking through the desert, a family, there's one specifically, there's like 3 or 4 people, and they're walking, and you see the profile.
And they're faceless, right? Because it's DeGrasse, okay. So
I looked over, and I saw these people walking through our yard, and the first thing I'm thinking is what are you doing walking through my yard? So I stood up and I walked over to the yard, and it was on the other side by where my daughter's room was, on the very corner next to the next door neighbors, and they're walking up a little bit of an incline, and they go past the wall. We had a concrete wall in the backyard. So I follow them, and I get to the other, go around the corner, and I don't see them anymore. So I went to the other side of the yard to see if they had already made it, and they were coming down the other angle in the backyard. So as I do, I walk, just as I turn the corner to see where they possibly would be, it's a family of javelinas.
But you had seen them as Native American.
Exactly. And I need to say this. There was no alcohol or any other substance involved, because I was stone sober at the time. So I see the javelinas walk past, and I'm telling you right now that these were full-grown figures that were walking past, but they were, there were at least 4 that I can remember that were past.
Oh, that's amazing.
And I never told anybody this because it sounds like BS. If somebody told me that, I was like, yeah, you just made that up.
Shapeshifters.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool.
That's amazing. And where you lived, just to set the setting a little bit, your front yard was pretty large, maybe quarter of an acre, half an
acre and a quarter.
Yeah.
And it's all desert. It's all pure Sonoran desert, and right next to the Catalina Mountains. So it's really a deserty. I mean, it's it definitely had houses there, but each house was surrounded by lots of desert.
Of land. Yeah.
And I described the experience as a dream. So I've had dreams like that.
Oh, interesting.
This was
almost like the dreams maybe were preparing you for seeing that.
And maybe, and because I am a skeptic, I always think, well, maybe it was just shadows and they projected shadows, but there was no light that was shining on them.
It was a dark night.
And as I said, it was not a full moon,
right.
And it was very, very dark out there in the Sabino Canyon area, kind of.
Right. And Tucson it's one of the dark cities because of the observatories. Right. So there's not a lot of ambient light.
Or light pollution.
From the city itself. But you were out in the desert. It's rural, technically. Right. It would be probably considered that, even though it's...
It makes you wonder if DeGracia saw something similar.
It does.
Like, why would it have that kind of... Yeah. And why did he... the things that he draws are really... beautiful and compelling,
they're
but
distinctive.
They're very distinctive, and for you to see something that looks like that, did he see whatever that is?
That's a great question. His studio is also in the Catalina Mountains.
That's right.
Yeah,
the DeGracia Studios in the Catalinas.
Wow, that's thrilling and creepy all at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah, you never know what you're going to find in the desert.
Yeah.
And those were the three things that I saw.
Yes, and that last one was the one that I have never heard. So
I've never heard any of them. Are you still a skeptic?
I am. I just, to explain how I feel, I'm not saying that there's not something.
Right.
But I have to be shown as, proof, or I have to see something that's absolutely, there is no explanation. Mm-hmm. And because I haven't found it doesn't mean there isn't an explanation. That's how I also see things.
Yeah.
So.
Right. But you always find, like when I talk to you about these things, you always find some kind of explanation for how it could have, been explained away, or that, that.
And I'm not prone to hallucinations. So,
right. Yeah, exactly.
But so those were the most interesting things that.
Those are really fascinating, really powerful.
Yeah, it's fun to hear you talk about them specifically because you are, very rational minded. Not that it's irrational to think about things that are fantastical, but you are super rational and super concrete about, evidence-based thinking.
And I appreciate that you're still open to the possibility that some things just maybe both inexplicable and supernatural.
Yes.
So there's still time.
Brian, thank you so much
for telling us those stories. Very much.
Fantastic.
And thank you to our listening audience for joining us. Please come back and listen to more stories and share them. But for now, so long, good friends, until we meet next time back at the house.